Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Excuse me for a moment. Yo. Talk before uncles get shot. Cranberry and water. That's it. This is not okay. What up, brother? How you been? You all right? Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. Darrell, what's up, brother? Mm-hmm. How y'all doing tonight? Y'all good? Word. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hello, Jillian dear. How are you? Hiring Vic Fangio. 3 seasons in Denver? He like 15 games under 500? Come on, man. Jason, what's up, brother? I got a man in Toronto. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's been a minute, Modoc. Mm-hmm. I was a little under the weather for a while. But I'm back in effect. I'm back in effect. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So I want to start the conversation tonight with excuse me. I want to start the conversation tonight with Memphis winning 10 in a row, right? Memphis winning 10 in a row and how good they've been. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get sucked into the Ja Morant is the best point guard in the NBA and he's better than this guy and he's better than that guy. Like I had a conversation about that Ja might be better than Trae Young, and I'm like, easy. Okay, I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment. I mean, not you. These are the same people that are telling me this. These are the same people who 2 years ago, when the Lakers won the NBA championship, were saying that Anthony Davis is a top 10 power forward all time, and now he's not even a top 10 player because he's been injured. Even though I still feel like AD is a top 10 player, I thought he was going to be a top 5 player this year. But what I'm not getting sucked into is I'm not getting sucked into being a prisoner of the moment. I think Ja is amazing, but there's no way I'm putting him ahead of a dude that's 29 and almost 10 this season, 25 and 9 last year, and almost 30 and 10 the year before that. Not doing that. What people are sleeping on is what people are not talking about is they're not talking about exactly how good Memphis is as a unit, right? Bane is one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. Memphis is one of the better Memphis is one of the better defensive teams in the game. They're in the top 3 in the league in blocks. They're in the top 3 in overall defense. They're in the top 10 in the league in rebounding. They're one of the better overall defensive teams in the game. And them beating the Lakers the 3 times that they beat them, and I know a lot of people have said that, it's just a regular season. That's a bad matchup for the Lakers. And I really don't like the Lakers in that 5 spot because they'd have to see Memphis in round 1. And I know the logic that, we didn't have Anthony Davis. I still don't like that matchup at all. I don't like that matchup one bit with Anthony Davis, without Anthony Davis. I do not like that matchup. Absolutely not. No, I don't. So I think Memphis has a damn good team. I think they do a lot of things really well. The question is, going forward, are they going to be able to hold this unit together? You got Jaren Jackson on a Rook deal. You got Ja Morant on a Rook deal. You still got Dylan Brooks on a Rook deal. You got a bunch of these guys who you haven't paid yet. And unlike the NFL, unlike Major League Baseball, you are not winning on the cheap in the NBA. Particularly when you're in a small market, things get expensive and they get expensive fast. So let me tell you. Can you explain how Curry not a point guard? Let me have a conversation with great Elon for a second. Great Elon, can you tell me, can you answer a question for me? Has the quarterback position, I don't know, well, before I even get into that, when I think about a point guard, I think about a floor general. I think about a primary ball handler. I think about a distributor. And when I think about the best point guards, not just in the game, but to ever play, right? But to ever play, those guys have a number of different things in common. And those things are they're floor generals, they're elite distributors, they're elite playmakers, and they're the head of their attack. The Golden State Warriors offense is not predicated on being that. It's not predicated. Mark Jackson actually tried to make Steph Curry a traditional point guard. The one year where Steph Curry averaged like 8.5 assists, where Mark Jackson was trying to make him a traditional one. Steve Kerr came in and completely changed the offense. Took the ball out of Curry's hands, and now it's more of a moving, ball hopping cross between the triangle and what they were doing in San Antonio. So there's not a traditional point guard in the sense. In fact, Draymond Green is more of the floor leader and distributor on that unit than anybody. When I think about Steph Curry as a player, the first thing that I think about for him is I think about him as a shooter. He shoots the long ball. That's what he does. I don't think about Steph Curry as a point guard. So there you have it. I would say that Steph Curry is more of an off guard than he is a point guard. Absolutely, I would. Yes, sir, I would say that. Joshua, what's up, brother? Do you think the Jazz have to do to be contenders? I think that they just got to keep doing what they're doing, man. I think that they have to keep doing what they're doing, and matchups are everything. Matchups are absolutely everything. And, Rudy Gobert does for them defensively what nobody else in the league does. They have a significant drop-off defensively when Rudy's not on the floor. Significant. Because of what he does for them as a rim protector, as a lane clogger, as a rebounder. All of these things that he does for them enhances what they do defensively. Because now, as a perimeter player, I'm more apt to take chances on the perimeter because I got a guy like Rudy Gobert behind me to clean up my mess. And all of those guys feel like that. Every last one of them. And when Rudy's not on the floor, the things that we aren't good at or the things that we're deficient at gets exposed because now we don't have that rim protector in there. And I know that Whiteside is a rim protector and a defensive player, but I don't think he's on the same level with Rudy. I do not think that. So, but anyway, like I was talking about, like I was talking about Memphis. I really don't like that matchup with them and the Lakers. I think that's a bad matchup, and I don't like it at all. If the Lakers could avoid them dudes, I think that they, I think that they could, I think that they can make some noise. But that's a bad matchup for them in the first round. Absolutely, it is. No doubt about it. Hang on for a second, guys. I want to talk to Michael for a second. He can make a strong argument on why Harden should have 3 league MVP. Even though I know he's a Harden guy, and I do know that. But he can make a strong case for why Harden should have 3 league MVPs. I'm very interested in this. So the floor is yours, sir. Absolutely, I'm all ears to hear this. You asked the question. I'm sure he did say that, Jillian, because he could care less, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I just have such a difficult time with. I just have such a difficult time with the putting him in that category. First of all we know is he has the 2018 MVP. So that's one. He did win the league MVP in 2018. Yes, he did. Okay. All right. They're going to line up for Brian Flores, by the way. Absolutely, they are. 2019, 50 plus wins, breaking every scoring record possible. Okay, that's really good, Michael. So with that, I'm going to let you continue. Keep going. Mm-hmm. Keep going. 2019, 50 plus wins, breaking every scoring record possible. 36 a game, 7 assists. Okay, that's legit. Okay. I think the Booker Mitchell comparison is really close, but I give the nod to Donnie. So we already got the 2018 one out the way. 2015 went to Steph. Harden outscored Steph and more assists a game. But there's a controversial one because Steph has far more impressive record, but Harden has much more better stats and 5 more points per game. Okay. So you think Harden should have won it in 15, he should have won it in 18, and he should have won it in 19. And you basing that primarily on the fact that James Harden scores a lot of points. Is that what I'm understanding? I just want to make sure that I'm on your page. Not only points but assists. Okay. Yeah, 15, 18, and 19. So the 18 one I'll give you because if I'm not mistaken, I think Houston won like 60 games that year, 65 games that year. Absolutely. I'll absolutely give you that one. I don't have a problem with that, even though I saw what James did with Cleveland having them flip the roster. They finished in 4th. So I got no problem giving it to Harden in 18, none whatsoever. Now, 19, absolutely not. And the reason why I say absolutely not, because again, you're going off the fact that he averaged 36 a game. Giannis basically had the same season that LeBron James had in the 08-09 year when they had the best record in the NBA. And not only did they have the best record in the NBA, LeBron James finished 2nd in the league in Defensive Player of the Year. Well, Giannis won Defensive Player of the Year that year. And he was in the top 3 in the league in scoring and rebounding and blocks. So that's that logic about 19. So we can kill that. And in 15, when we talk about 15, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Warriors had the best record in the Western Conference. And not only did they have the best record in the Western Conference, since you on the subject of scoring, did Steph Curry not lead the league in scoring that year? Or no? I just want to make sure that I just want to make sure that I'm not 65 wins. Absolutely, he was the only All-Star. I'm not fighting that. I'm not fighting that at all. I won't fight that. So that's my logic on why 19 and why 15 doesn't work. 18, absolutely. 18, I can absolutely get with that logic. Whenever you want a team that wins 65 games, I don't care who on the crew. To be on a team that wins 65 games, we got to talk about you being the league MVP. No doubt about that. We absolutely have to do that. So he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year that year. Yes, he did. Of course you disagree. Harden's your guy. You're biased. You're not looking at the facts. I don't have a dog in this fight, my man. I don't. I'm looking at the facts, and these are the facts. And you're biased when you talk about James Harden. That's why it's difficult to have a conversation with you when it comes to James Harden, because you're biased. And when the facts are presented to you, you shut them down because they don't favor your guy. So, No, I don't think so. No, not you. Not you at all. That would be Mark. Tim, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Jerry Stackhouse was he was buckets. When I think about a guy in today's game that's a perimeter player that's buckets, I don't really see anybody like Jerry Stackhouse. I mean, you can maybe say Zach LaVine, maybe, because he was purely buckets. He could score on anybody, and Jerry Stackhouse had that kind of game where, once he got it going, forget it. You couldn't really do nothing with him. But so it was 16 when Steph led the league in scoring. One of them 2 years he led the league in scoring. Absolutely. I didn't say he was your guy, Mark. I meant Michael. I don't mean you. If I said you, Mark, I apologize. I meant Michael. Michael Laffey. That's his guy. That's the guy who I was talking about. Yeah, that's the guy who I was talking about. Not you, Mark. But so yeah, 15, 16. I think that was the year Steph Curry led the league in scoring. The 14-15 season, that year that they won the NBA championship and he won the league MVP, I had a difficult time with that league MVP. I thought that one should have went to James. Not James Harden. I thought that one should have went to James. I had a real difficult time with that. That team was in the lottery the year before that. That was a lottery team the year before that. They went to number 1 in the Eastern Conference that next year. And that was primarily due to James. With nobody on that unit that had ever been to the playoffs. None of those dudes. You keep saying we're going to ignore the fact that he averaged 36. So what? 36 a game. Why is that so important to you, Michael? Why? Why is that so important that a guy is buckets? What is that doing? Matter of fact, let me rewind the clock because I get emotional about this stuff because all you care about is points. So the league MVP, what is the criteria for league MVP? Can you tell me what the criteria for league MVP is? Go. Yeah, they did win 60 games that year, Timmy. Absolutely, they did. No doubt about it. One more time for the people in the cheap seats, Harry. What is the league criteria? What is the criteria for league MVP? One more time, Harry, for the people in the cheap seats that didn't hear you. So I'm clear. Winning. Absolutely. Not a top 4 seed, Great Elon, a top 3. Russell Westbrook is the only guy in the last 45 years to be on a team to win the league MVP and not be a top 3 seed at all. He's the only guy. The last guy before him was Jabbar, and that was in 75. 75. So, with that being said, what are the other criteria for league MVP? Like Harry just told me winning. What else in the process of winning? Yeah, the 75-76 season. Absolutely. I was a little under the weather, Mag. That's why. And I was a little under the weather. So, but I'm back to it now. Plays defense. Well, I don't know necessarily if defense is in there because Steph Curry I haven't seen Steph Curry. We don't ever really talk about Steph Curry as a lockdown defender. I don't know about that. So, alas, what's going on? OG, 2 quick questions. Bam at his peak for the Heat. Does he have another level? Bam is not at his peak. That's why if during the trade deadline, call up Indiana and ask for Miles Turner so you can move Bam to the 4, which is his natural position, and he'll be even more awesome. And don't even get me started on Brian Flores. I don't know what the hell that was. I'd be lying to you if I said I was. If I knew what the hell that was, because I had no idea what that was. 13-8 with Tua in the lineup. 9-11 with Fitzpatrick. They lose their best offensive lineman. They pass on my guy, Justin Herbert, who, by the way, Flores wanted instead of Tua. He wanted Herbert instead. They pass on him. And by the way, he had a winning season this year, 9-8, after starting 1-7. And yeah, they only beat one playoff team in that when they won 8 of their last 9 games, but they still won 8 of their last 9 games. So I want to get back to this James Harden thing. 2018, the only player in NBA history. Right, Michael. I have no problem with him winning the league MVP in 2018. They had the best record in the NBA. They had the best record in the NBA. I think he averaged 34 games. They won 65 games. I got no problem with that whatsoever. None. 19? No. No, you're not getting 19 from me. I don't care that he averaged 35 a game. I don't care about that. What did that do for his unit as opposed to these other guys? What did that do for them? And you still haven't given me a satisfactory answer except the fact that he scored a lot of points. That's not good enough. That's not. Yes, he did. And Q, that's nonsense to say that Giannis didn't deserve any of those MVPs. First and foremost, the MVP is a regular season award. And for you to say that he didn't deserve any of those, that is nonsense. What is your problem with Giannis? Because that's what this sounds like. This sounds like something personal. Who is your guy? I have a question. What are your thoughts on Zaza? I thought he was dirty. Zaza was a dirty guy. Yes, Zaza was dirty. So why don't you think Giannis deserved any of those league MVPs? So who do you think should have gotten them? If you don't think that he should have gotten them, which way should it have gone? And by the way, before you answer that question, the 1920 Giannis, he was the best offensive. I think he was second in the league or third in the league in scoring, and he was the defensive player of the year that year. So, Now it's interesting you mentioned that, Harry, because when I look at you think that James Harden was more valuable to Houston than Giannis was to Milwaukee. So if you take Giannis off Milwaukee with Drew Holiday, they didn't even have Drew Holiday yet. They had Eric Bledsoe and Middleton, and they didn't have Bobby Portis yet or PJ Tucker. So if you take Giannis off that unit, how good do you think that they are? I mean, this is a team that had the best record in the Eastern Conference. In fact, I think they had the best record in the NBA. So you think you think James Harden was more valuable to Houston than Giannis was to the success of the Milwaukee Bucks? Because I don't. And the numbers prove it. Giannis is not an overrated defender. That is not true, man. He's made too many big plays, yo. If you're gonna, if that's, oh man, that burns me, yo. And what I gotta do is I gotta make sure that I control my emotions. But that stuff bothers me. That stuff bothers me because Giannis comes up with too many big plays. And I ain't even talking about what I seen in the finals or what I saw a couple of nights ago. I'm talking about what he does just as an overall defender. For you to call him overrated, man, you don't watch Giannis. You do not. I ain't even on the block, so you see, I'm not even on that. I'm not. Absolutely, Jillian. Overhated instead of absolutely. No question about that. That's not that's not my problem, Harry. That is not my problem. That you gotta hold your unit together. I held my unit together, and winning doesn't just when we think about winning, for example, a lot goes into winning. And you being good isn't good enough. You need some things to go your way. And the fact that Milwaukee stayed healthy, that's not Giannis's problem. The fact that you guys were beat up, that's not my problem. My crew held up. And in the process of my crew holding up, I still did my thing. So you can't blame me for that. And I shouldn't be slighted for that neither. Absolutely not. Mm-mm. In the playoffs, he did. Absolutely. Let me ask you this, King. Is Giannis the same player in the 19 Eastern Conference Finals that he is today? Is he the same guy? Is he the same guy? That's what I'm asking you. Giannis is the most protected and loved player in the NBA. Is he really? More protected and loved than Steph Curry? You think so? Wow. And I think a lot of that, Jillian, has to do with the fact that he's in Milwaukee. I do. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's in Milwaukee. No doubt about it. People never discredit him. People discredited before they won an NBA championship. That's not true, King. That is not true because before they won an NBA championship, Giannis wasn't good enough. He just wasn't good enough. He couldn't shoot the basketball. He couldn't lead a team to a championship. He wasn't good enough. So let's not make it sound like the whole time everybody was loving Giannis because no, they weren't. That is not true. That is not true. No, he does not come off as fake humble. No, he does not. We're talking about a dude who was homeless at one point, who was panhandling with his family. No, there's nothing fake about that. I do remember him. I don't know how to say his last name, but I remember him at Seton Hall, Dorimana. I don't know how to say his last name, and because I think I'll butcher it, but he was awesome at Seton Hall, absolutely. And I think he's exactly what they need in Milwaukee. He's going to help them. He's going to help them in the future, no doubt. He's a good player. I do. Nah, great Elon, that doesn't work. The fact that he's not American, that doesn't work because they love Luca. They love Luca. They love the Olajuwon. Plenty of international players. You guys love Joker. So there's plenty of international players who get love. The fact that he's not American, no, that doesn't work. No. Mm-mm. What's up, Liam? How you doing, brother? They love Dirk too, absolutely. I think that goes a long way too, Jillian. I don't think that, Giannis isn't a lot of flash. Giannis is a lot of force, and he's a lot of power, and that intimidates people. And I think that a lot of people have a problem with that part of his game. Even though Giannis has improved dramatically over the last 5 years, he is not the same player that he was in 2016. No, he is not. Or 2017. Thanks. I got those at I forgot where I found those at. I think maybe Ross. There's a department store here. I found those pictures at Ross. It was a department store here in South Florida. I don't think she acting like people don't like him. He can't just be that. And if that's the case, Michael, so if all Giannis is run and dunk, then all James Harden was get to the free throw line and create fouls. That's all he was. And you couldn't touch him because you're going to the free throw line. And how much of that is true? Because that is not true. James Harden is very skilled, just like Giannis has become even more skilled. So that is so unfair to say that. That's not true. They had a really good defensive unit, Dallas did. That's not your opinion. That's a fact. Yes, they did. They absolutely did. So, right, Julian. If we want to do that, Curry don't do nothing but shoot the long ball. He don't do nothing else. And we know that that's not the truth. We know that that's not the truth. That's exactly why. Bentley, what's up with you, brother? Running good, man. Who had the more impressive playoff run? I want to say Kawhi, but just like Giannis, Leonard had some things go his way too, right? Leonard absolutely had some things go his way. I think that unit that he was on, I think they did a great job on Milwaukee and building that wall. I think that Dwayne Casey got out coached, and it didn't hurt Leonard that both KD and Clay got hurt in that series. So I think that was something that absolutely helped him. And being good ain't good enough. I'm all in favor of stuff like that. I'm all in favor of stuff like that. When I think about what Giannis did, I mean, Giannis getting hurt in the East Finals against Atlanta in the East Finals, and then for Middleton to step up the way he did, and for Drew Holiday to step up the way both those guys stepped up the way that they did, and to come back against Phoenix, who had them down 2-0, and for them to come back the way they did, that was really impressive. Absolutely, that was. No doubt. That'd be tough, Doramana. Yeah, Doramana. That'd be tough. I don't know if Jordan could come back from being down 3-1. I think the series would have been over. Is Dan Marino the ringless GOAT of all sports? No, I don't think so. I think that honor goes to Karl Malone. Running good, I don't know. Yeah, running good, brother. How you doing? Oh, King, come on, man. See, this is another thing where I have to control my emotions when I listen to nonsense like that. Because Siakam had a breakout season that year. Don't discredit what Siakam did. Don't discredit how Van Fleet Van Fleet played in the playoffs. Don't discredit what Kyle Lowry did. He might not have been very efficient, but don't discredit what Siakam and what Ibaka and these guys did, man. It wasn't just Leonard. That team won 59 games the year before that. And it was basically the same team coming back the next year, minus DeRozan and Valanciunas, who was replaced with Gasol in midseason, and DeRozan was replaced by Leonard. So that was a good team, man. Don't say that. That is not fair. Do not do that. That is not fair, King. That's not fair. Don't say that, yo. Because when I look at your Brooklyn team, you can say the same thing about them. The same thing about them. Siakam didn't help him out. Come on, man. Yes, he did. He was averaging over 20 a game in the playoffs. Yes, he did help him. That is not true. That is not true, my man. After the 18-19 season, I thought that James was better. I just told you all of the guys that I told you, King. Your logic doesn't work, man. It doesn't. It does not work. It was in 18-19, too much sauce. After when he got hurt in the 18-19 season for Christmas, that's when I had gotten pushed to the other side, that I was like, this dude is the best. No question in my mind, I was convinced that he was the best. No doubt about it. That's when I was convinced. That's how we found out. Absolutely, all laughs. That's how we found out who Siakam was in the playoffs in 19. That's how he became that. I mean, he made the All-Star team that year. The next year he made the All-Star team. In the process of that, he made his name in the playoffs. That's how he became a big deal. And see, here's the thing, Mark. I wouldn't even say just the finals, because Siakam was really good in the playoffs in 19. He wasn't just good in the finals. He was good in the playoffs. Yes, JB. Facts. He averaged almost 20 and 7 in the playoffs. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yes, Van Fleet. All of these guys were. Let me ask you a question. So before we go any further, because I think that we need to get some things established. King, what do you constitute as help? So I'm clear. Let me talk to King for a second. King, what do you constitute as help? What do you think help is? So I'm clear. That's what I'd like to know from you. What do you think help is? I do take regular season games very seriously. Absolutely, I do. Guys who can close. So help is stars. So you actually don't need stars, but help is stars. And there are games where guys can close games out. So Van Fleet hit big shots in the playoffs in 19. Siakam hit big shots in the playoffs in 19. Ibaka came up with big rebounds and big defensive stops. Kyle Lowry being the floor general that he was during that time. But all you care about is closing out the game. That's all that matters? That's what help is to you? I don't know. I haven't underrated Leonard. I think Leonard is a top 5 player when he's healthy. I have not done that. They went 10 deep, my man. What are you talking about? They didn't have a good bench. Norman Powell was on that team. OG Anunoby was on that team. Gasol came off the bench. What are you talking about? They didn't have a good bench. They were loaded. They had 10 guys. That's not true, my man. That is not true at all. That Toronto team was really, really good. Leonard was the difference in what they were doing, King. Did you watch them or no? That's what it sounds like to me. Michael, there's no way you sucking me into that argument. I've already done that, and no way you sucking me into that. Absolutely not. No way. And just to answer your question, I did really say OG Anunoby. Right. OG Anunoby was a very good player coming off the bench for the Toronto Raptors. You think they win without him? He was very good for them. Absolutely he was. But that's neither here nor there. I got to answer this question really quick from my man. So I do take regular season games very seriously. So don't stop with Charlotte beating Toronto twice. Don't stop with that. Don't forget, the Lakers lost to Memphis 3 times. The Lakers have beaten Memphis 3 times now. Not the Lakers. I'm sorry. Memphis has beaten the Lakers 3 times now. And with that being said, I already made it clear. I do not like that matchup. I don't. I don't like that matchup at all. I do not. In this matchup with Charlotte, I really don't like the way that thing works. And the reason why I don't like the way that thing works is because it seems like LaMelo Ball, he kind of gets to wherever he wants to get to. And he gets himself to the spots that he needs to get to. And they play a lot faster. And I don't like that against Milwaukee. I just don't. Right. They only beat them twice. Correct. My fault. King, that wasn't just Leonard on that team, man. You got to let's just take OG Anunoby off the table. Remember, the year before that, they were the number 1 seed in the East, and they ran into the boogeyman, which also helped the next season in the 18-19 season when they got Leonard, because the boogeyman was gone now. It wasn't like they had a shot when they knocked out Cleveland. The boogeyman was gone. He went out west. So the door to not to the Eastern Conference Championship, the door to the NBA Finals flew wide open. Flew wide open. So I didn't say he was the boogeyman for Kawhi. But what you're not going to do, Hoop, is you're not going to tell me that Leonard didn't have to deal with James and James didn't beat him. Because we so quick to talk about how how San Antonio beat them in 14 and Leonard won the MVP. Let's make sure we remember there's a banner hanging up, and it's not the American Airlines Arena anymore. It's F2X Arena. There's a banner hanging up in there. They beat them in 7 games. And James clearly outplayed Leonard in that series. Clearly. So let's make sure that let's not disregard that. That's very important. I do, Adam. I do buy the Jazz as a legit contender, but they're one of those teams where, and I felt like this last year, they need more things to go their way more than how talented they are. So, for example, last year when they lose to the Clippers, because I thought the Clippers Jazz winner was going to the NBA Finals. I did because I thought the Jazz was better, and for Leonard to get hurt and for them not to get past the Clippers, I thought that Quinn Snyder got out coached in that series. And I didn't appreciate that at all. Well, having to watch Rudy Gobert have to guard 26, 23, 24, 22 feet away from the basket. He clearly got out coached in that series. Because remember, Man, who had 40, I believe, in game 6, just so you know, he averaging 9 points a game. 9. And the Clippers are about to get, and the Clippers are about to be, I think they're about to be pushed out of the playoffs. They're 8th right now. They went, and this was just in like 2 weeks. They went from 4th to now 8th. Because I said this to you already. Was it 40? I said 30. I'm sorry. I thought it was 40. 39. Because I said this to you already. Excuse me. I said this to you already. Paul George is done for the season. So, with that being said, I looked at that group last year, and I thought that the Jazz had a legitimate shot of making it to the NBA Finals. I really did. Now, I look at this group this year, and they're one of the better teams in the West, and I think that they got a shot at making the Finals, but they need some things to go their way, man. And they gotta change their style of play offensively. I've said this before, and I stand on this. They have to get Rudy more involved in the offense, particularly in transition. Oh, gee, I love Leonard. You know this, but that 2014 Spurs, they beat the Heat in foul chemistry. Do I have any playoff picks this weekend, Julian? Yeah, I think the Bengals handle the Raiders. I think that I'm very interested in that Buffalo New England series. I think my 49ers, I think we bounced the Cowboys. I don't think we beat them. I think we bounced them dudes. I think we get them out of there. I think we've seen the last of Ben Roethlisberger. I think the Kansas City Chiefs handle them. Roethlisberger reminds me of Mr. Potato Head. And what I mean when I say that is, you see how Mr. Potato Head, like, things just fall off of him, and you got to put his arm back on, and you got to put his nose back on, and you got to put his shoulder. That's who Roethlisberger reminds me of. And they're just trying to prop him up, to hold him up, because he looks like a complete shell of himself. He doesn't look nearly like what he used to. That's what I'm thinking about just right now, though. So, Jamie, we already had this discussion about James Harden not winning the league MVP in 19. No, he did not deserve it. No, he didn't. Giannis basically had the same year in 19 as LeBron James had in the 08-09 season. So, no, he did not. And you're only looking on one side of the basketball, and you're only talking about the 36 a game he averaged that year. That's all you're talking about. You don't want to talk about the fact that Giannis was a complete player that year, and the Bucks had the best record in the NBA. You don't want to talk about that. No, you do not. No, he did not. It's a torn tendon in your elbow. And this is what your arm is doing, right? This is what your arm is doing. And for this to be torn, this is not just, this is passing the basketball. This is playing defense. This is doing all of those things with the torn tendon in your elbow. And that's very significant. You can't move as much as you'd like to. It's a bunch of different things that you can't do with this torn tendon in your elbow. Giannis better peak 19 and 13. I don't know. When I think about James's peak, because I think LeBron James's peak was 08 to 13 in that 5-year stretch. I mean, he finished in the top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year 4 times in 5 years, including twice finishing second. Now, I knew he wasn't going to lose. I knew he wasn't going to beat. I didn't think that he would beat out Howard for Defensive Player of the Year in 09, in the 08-09 season. But I did think that he was going to beat out Gasol. I was very surprised about that. But I'm having a difficult time with Giannis's being better. Even though Giannis did win Defensive Player of the Year in back-to-back seasons. He did do that. Not back-to-back seasons, I'm sorry. He did win Defensive Player of the Year during that stretch. Hedo Turkoglu, that's what you call it. That's Luka, except better. Luka is Hedo Turkoglu, except Luka is better. Luka's a better version of Hedo Turkoglu. Better long ball shooter, better distributor, better in the meat and potatoes of the game. All of that good stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, Michael, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get sucked into, and I think I said this to you already, because a lot of people have been trying to sell me on Ja Morant, Trae Young. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Ja is 29 and almost 10 this year. He was 25 and 9 last year. The year before that, he was almost 30 and 10. I see what Ja is doing, and I think Ja is awesome. But you're not going to suck me into that prisoner of the moment thing right now. No way. You're not doing that. I'm not going to get sucked into that. No way. Mm-mm. Nah, he was better than Galli. He was better than Gallinari. He was a better ball handler than Gallinari. He was a better playmaker than Gallinari. He shot the long ball just as good as Gallinari. I think he was. I don't know if he was a better athlete than Gallinari. I think he was a better overall offensive player than Gallinari. I don't think he was Gallinari. He was better than him. I'm absolutely Jillian going with the Bulls. I'm sorry, absolutely. I think they're better than the Nets. I think they got a better team than the Nets. Of all the teams, even with Irv playing, with all the teams that Brooklyn thinks that they want to see, they don't want nothing to do with the Bulls. Nothing. Kawhi carried the Spurs to back-to-back 60 wins. Second, third for MVP. No, it's not. It's not net. See, this is what I'm talking about, King. When I talk to you, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Because what the problem that you and I have is the facts are in front of you, and you don't want to, and you do not want to talk about the facts. And the reason why you don't want to talk about the facts is because you're emotional as a fan. So you don't want to talk about the fact that Brooklyn is 0-8 against playoff teams. 0-8. You don't want to talk about that, though. I'm hating, though, if I say that. Right? They're 0-2 against Brooklyn, against the Bulls. And the Bulls, not only are they 0-2, they give up 114 a game against the Bulls. The Bulls only give up 101 against you guys, which means that they handle Brooklyn. But I'm hating, though. Interesting. And I've said this in the past, and I stand on it. And if I'm wrong later, I will eat it. I think the Nets are fool's gold. I do. I think they're fool's gold. Mm-hmm. And whose fault is that, King? Whose fault is that he's not healthy? Because this isn't something that's new. Has James Harden not traditionally come to camp out of shape and played himself into shape during the season, then broke down in the playoffs? Has that not traditionally happened, whether he's broken down physically or his play has suffered? Has that not happened to James Harden traditionally? That's a yes or no question. Oh, I'm sure that's not going to work, Jillian. I don't think so at all. And why was that, King? Why was he hurt against them? When you get a hamstring injury, what's the problem? You're pushing yourself too hard. And the reason why you're pushing yourself too hard is because you ain't in shape. What's up, Bubba Guts? How you doing, brother? Good to see you tonight. No doubt. Mm-hmm. Running good, Bojack. Bojack. How you doing, brother? Sauce God, what up, brother? Good to see you. Mm-hmm. What up, Hoops? What did I miss? Levine or Book? I think Zach's a better athlete. I think he's just as good a scorer as Book. I think Book is a little bit better of a playmaker. And I think Book works better in the system that he's in with Chris Paul. I don't know if he would be able to do the same thing if he was with DeRozan, because Zach is buckets. And the athlete that Zach is, that gives him an edge. And the fact that he's 6'6". If I had to choose between the two of them, I may have to go with Zach. I may have to. But when I say that, I'm talking, and the reason why, because I'm looking at Zach as an athlete. But then I think about, wow, that's a tough one. That is really tough, because when I look at Book and I look at his game, and we're talking about a dude that's 26 a game over the last 4 or 5 years, he is straight buckets. He is absolute buckets. So we're talking about a hair, right? We're talking about something this close. So, And Zach has shown that he could hold up. Even Book not being on a playoff team, he still was balling. He still was 25, 26 a game. And I think a lot of it has to do with who he's running with. I mean, because Book's game got enhanced running with Chris Paul. Well, Zach's game got enhanced running with DeMar DeRozan. But Zach has shown me that he'll play some defense too. Book has too. Man, that's a tough one. That is really tough. Really tough. Yes, they got Bradley Beal listed at 6'5", Darrell. He is not that big. No, he is not. No, he is not. No, sir. Good to have you back, Harry. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Poisonous honey buns. It's a conspiracy against Brooklyn. It's a conspiracy. Well, I tell you what, it's interesting, all labs, because when I think about mid-range scorers, Rip Hamilton, Jordan, Bryant, KD, Brandon Roy, guys in the mid-range. They were money in the mid-range. Malone, KG. That's interesting. KG, absolutely. Let's see. Dirk had a money mid-range game. Yes, sir, he did. No doubt about that. Excuse me for 1 second, guys. Nah, Dame ain't out for the season. It's an abdominal issue where they don't think it's season ending. No, they don't. Leonard also had a money mid-range game too, Bentley. Absolutely. So I'm having a hard time with DeMar DeRozan being a top 5 mid-range scorer. That's a tough one. That's absolutely a tough one. So, that's really all it is. Yeah, King. And if was a spliff, or if grandma had balls, she'd be grandpa. Is that correct? If Kyrie doesn't get hurt, we might be having a different conversation. But none of that stuff happened, right? Kyrie did get hurt. KD did step on the line. So it's not that he trolls. He's a Brooklyn guy. So he's emotional about Brooklyn. Hoop, I don't know if he passes him, but I do think that he gets closer to Malone because that was the beginning of the end. When Kobe started, when he tore up his Achilles, he was 34 at that time because that's when he started to break down because it was the Achilles, and then the next year he cracks his knee, and then he screws up his shoulder. So he started breaking down around that time, and then it started getting tricky. That's when that's absolutely when it started. And that was unfortunate too. Yeah, he was doing that. He absolutely was doing that. And that's when he started to break down at that time. I'm still, to be honest with you, Hoop, I'm still is not even critical. And I mean, I say what I say how I feel about Kobe Bryant in terms of a basketball player. I'm still having a very difficult time that this dude ain't around no more, man. That's still messing with me. This is 2 years now since he's been gone. And the fact that this dude ain't around no more, that's still messing with me, man. It is. I'm still screwed up over that. The fact that this dude ain't around no more is super duper corny. I'm having a real difficult time with the fact that this dude ain't around no more. This is corny. I very rarely hear. I don't hear anything about Leonard. Leonard is one of those real quiet dudes that he just go about his job. That's all he is. I do remember Jason Sion. He got torched against the Giants. I mean, he got torched against Baltimore in January of 2002 in the Super Bowl. Torched. They went after him particularly. Yes, they did. I'm not, and here's the thing, Hoops. I'm not buying that whole, you're worried about James. There's a reason why James spends over $1.5 million a year on his body. Now, I know that Father Time is undefeated and he catches up with everybody. But James, on the other hand, he knows what his body is, and there's a reason why he spends that much money on taking care of himself. That's why I'm flabbergasted at the level that he plays at. Excuse me. Absolutely, I do, Keyshawn. No question about that. No doubt in my mind. Am I on the fence about that? No way. The fact that they did blow a 3-1 lead, and because I think about the other greats in the game, and I think about What would the logic be on LeBron James if he blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals? Right? How would we be talking about Tim Duncan if he blew a 3? How would we be talking about Kevin Durant if he blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals? How would we be talking about this dude? You know, we have had guys who've blown 3-1 leads, right? But that absolutely is overlooked. Like, how would we be talking about Jordan if Jordan blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals? If he was up 3-1 on Barkley or Ewing or Magic, what kind of conversation would we be having about him? Yes, Kobe did blow a 3-1 lead, absolutely. And we don't talk about that nearly as much. No, we do not. Absolutely, Ian, you would not. It would, in fact, it would be all that we talked about. It would be it. I would have to listen to if James blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. I can't tell you how much I would have to listen to that. It would have been something that would have been regular conversation. In fact, that's what the conversation would have started like. Well, you know, James blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. Talk about that, OG. So that would be the first thing that we start with. Yes, Kobe blew a 3-1 lead against Phoenix in the 05-06 playoffs. They had them in the chokehold. They were Tim Thomas hitting a 3 away from being out. And Tim Thomas hits a 3 and forces the game into overtime. Phoenix beats them in overtime, and the rest is history. Because they were out. They were absolutely out. Yes, he did blow a 3-1 lead. And by the way, Phoenix was the higher seed. They were the 3 seed. So did Bird Hoops. So absolutely, it's the 05-06 first round of the playoffs. They had Phoenix down 3-1. LeBron blew a 2-1 lead. So you're gonna completely leave out there. Anthony Davis got hurt. So you're gonna leave that out. All right. That's not important. That is not important. So okay. The Lakers didn't have expectations. Yes, they did. They did make the playoffs the year before that, Bubba Guts. There was no way that they could not make the playoffs again. No way that they could not make the playoffs again. So the expectations had absolutely risen with the Lakers after the 04-05 season because they didn't make the playoffs that year. So there was absolutely they weren't supposed to suck again. So no way. No way. No, said Maxwell played really well in that 81 series. No doubt about it. Really well. They couldn't do nothing with him in that series. Nothing. That's super wow. 15 and 15. Take the 7 out. Just 15 and 15. That's super wow. The problem with Westbrook is not his body. It's this. That's the problem with Westbrook. It's not the fact that he takes care of his body. Russ only knows one speed, and that speed is go. So when the game slows down, now this has to start working. And the problem with this having to start working, it's going like this the whole time. And when the game slows down, this doesn't slow down. This is still doing this. And he's still playing like that, which would explain why he turns the ball over the way he does in the type of situations he turns the ball over. So that's where I'm at with that, man. That's absolutely where I'm at with that. So, but it's about that time, guys. I am feeling a lot better. So it's good to see y'all again. I will be back on tomorrow night, right? I will be back on tomorrow night, and we will get together more often because in terms of health, I'm actually feeling a lot better, and it's absolutely great to see you guys again. So we'll get back after it. And like I said, we in the dog days of the season. We in the dog days of the basketball season. So this should be real good conversation going forward. Absolutely, it should be. So it's good to see you guys. So until then, take it light, but take it.